Yay! I'm here with Angel Roberts. You look so cool.
Girl,
What's it like?
I need these glasses. I
What
can't see.
What's it like to be you? Also, like behind you, what is all that? It's like
This is my house.
that's your house? I thought you were in the dance studio maybe.
No, this is my dining room.
Wait, your dining room has that art on the wall? That's so much cooler than it being in the dance studio.
It's just things that I've collected over the years and people that I love. Like,
Oh my
there's
gosh.
there's Dolly and Jay-Z and Cher
Oh my
and
gosh.
just, and they're all artists that I have, that I really love and I love their work. And yeah, you can see up
So
here.
fun. If you are listening to the podcast, you have to go check out on the YouTube. You'll be able to see the video of this, but this is what I love about you. You're so creatively expressed. You're so multifaceted, like funky, fresh, have so many parts to you. And I'm so excited that I got you on this call because
Here.
a long, long time ago, did I even have one kid? I think I didn't have any kids. I was going to Angel's hip hop classes downtown Charleston in this big like warehouse thing. And I didn't even know what a burpee was before these classes, by the way. Like I'm
Oh,
I'm classically trained dancer, if you will.
you didn't
And but
do
I
burpees in ballet.
no, no, but I always loved hip hop it was like if I could just do hip hop, that's what I wanted to do. But my mom made me do ballet and like I got to do all of it, but it wasn't like what you do.
Which
And
is
so
the
these
the whole reason behind what I do, right?
I know. Like when I went to these classes, I was like, this woman is a genius because why do we have to do all the other stuff? Like it's fine, it has a place, and for the people that want it, it's there. Like that market exists, but I just feel like there's people like me, like if I had something like what you do and I was younger, it's like hip hop all day, every day. And also give me 20 burpees. I was like, oh,
Right. And let's sneak in some strength training and some exercise that'll hopefully carry on throughout your life,
so
Um,
good.
no,
So good.
it's basically the mission statement of why I did what I did. It's because I'm that kid. It's like I don't want to put on pink tights. I don't want to put on a pink leotard. I
Mhm.
don't really want to do all this stuff. But if it gets me to take that 1 hour hip hop class
Yes.
that's like extra credit, I'll do it. I'll do it,
Yeah,
and I'm with my friends
totally.
and whatever. And, so,
So you created it.
so I created it. I
Huh.
created
Just
it.
no biggie. Well, I want to hear your whole life story because you have a fascinating life story and you didn't like you were not born and raised on Daniel Island where you now live. So can you tell the peoples before we get into all the dance stuff, just a little bit about your life, like what got you up into the point where you are now?
Yeah, for sure. So I grew up in North Carolina. My mom, I mean, we dance runs through our blood. So my mom was, she's a serial entrepreneur. She is
Mm.
like a genius, and when we're talking about geniuses, um, but she started. Um, we actually, I was born in Nebraska, moved to Michigan. My dad got a job in High Point, North Carolina, working for the furniture business. And, and I think back and, they had me when they were 19. So my dad was running a giant furniture plant, Baker Furniture. Um, and he was 23.
Oh my gosh.
I think about I have a 23-year-old right now. I'm like, I don't know that she could run a furniture plant, but anyway. And, my mom was 23. We were so young. And so my mom was in this small town and she, wanted to start a dance studio. She wanted a place for me to grow up. And she had sort of taken, dance classes when she was younger. She had started her own classes when she was like a teenager, teaching it, volunteering at Boys and Girls Club. And she just loved dance. And so she started a studio in this small town and it became like the place to be in this small town. So I grew up in this dance studio, amazing experience, amazing. I knew pretty early on that I didn't really want to or didn't really have what it took to be a professional dancer. My mom was friends with a lot of professional dancers and I saw their life
Mm,
and I thought, that's maybe not for me because
mm.
it's being
Yeah.
a dancer is so
Hmm. Hmm.
hard,
I had
you
a
know?
similar like thought process when I was
Yeah,
living in
it's
New
like this
York.
is
Yeah.
hard. and you're guaranteed nothing, and
Yep.
you just work and
You
work
have to
and
fight for like every single
everything.
role and gig, and it's constant. And I was always like, I want to have kids. And if I like, I want, like we were just talking before we press record, like I want that suburban life. So how am I going to make this work? So it's interesting that
Right,
you say
right.
that.
No, that's so attractive. And so I thought, okay, how do I still get this part of my life and dance? And I love it so much. And there has to be other, other ways to incorporate this in my life. So anyway, I started doing costumes and learning how to sew when I was about 13. I got my neighbor to teach me. And I thought, okay, dance, costumes, this, I can put this
Mm,
together. And I love, just always been very creative.
mhm.
Uh, when it comes to clothing and interiors and all that kind of
Yeah.
stuff. So I knew I wanted to get involved in that world. And so I went to college in North Carolina and University of UNCG,
Mhm.
Greensboro. And they had kind of an amazing design department. And I met just an incredible group of really gay men. I was just
Mm.
me. And I was like, the biggest fag hag on the planet, and so happy
They
to have that
probably
title.
loved you.
Oh my God, well, we loved each other. I mean, we
Yeah.
would sit around at tables, everybody with their sewing machine, and that was like in the rave days, girl.
Oh
That
my
was
God.
rave. That was the like 90, 91, 92, and raves were big. And so you worked on your costume all week, and then you went out, on the weekend to these rave parties in like Charlotte and, Raleigh and all these different places. And it was just like a big fashion show. It was amazing.
That sounds so
It was
fun.
so fun.
It
You
sounds
paint
so
yourself
fun.
silver and wear, silver bikinis and
It's
like
like
giant platforms.
Burning Man
It was like
at
Burning
a
Man Light. Yeah.
light. Yeah, yeah. I mean, I would go like when I lived in New York City from, well, obviously I'm from New York, and then I moved when I was 16 to South Carolina, and then I moved back from 18 to 20. And I was just like, what's the biggest, most rave like nightclub we can go to, like as often as humanly possible? And is there like a
I'm like,
platform that I could stand on for approximately 5 hours sober? Like I didn't even need alcohol and just dance my little heart out. So that really checks out for me that you were going to
you find
raves.
that place?
I mean, we went to a lot of places like Webster Hall was
Webster
one.
Hall, Limelight. Well, yeah,
Lime.
Limelight,
Yeah, 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 yeah. Then there was
666
like,
Boulevard. Yes.
but then we like, then I met a friend who was more into like the cool clubs where all like the models were, it was like Suede and these other too fancy. I was like,
Boo,
I
boo, boo.
there's no platforms here for me to
Right. I
like,
need
I
a
need a
drag queen.
table. I don't actually want to dance with anybody here. This is my show. This is my workout for the week. So I
Mhm.
love that.
Yeah. Oh yeah. And there were drag queens there, and we were all just kind of this, all the like cool rave kids. And so that was like the scene. And I'm so
Mm,
lucky to like have had that creative outlet and to be, go through that time. I talk to my daughters now, they're 18 and 23, and they're like, oh my God, you went to like, we wish we had stuff like that. And I'm like,
yeah.
no. And then again, like you said, you could, obviously there were people doing drugs and stuff like that, but you didn't have to.
Yeah. The
You could just,
music was my drug.
that's it. That's it. And so anyway, so that was my college experience.
Mhm.
And so early on, I had an internship on a film. My mom knew a writer who, and growing up in the South, you're like LA and the movie scene and all that stuff. It's like never really introduced to you as
Mm,
possibly being a career path. As a costume designer, it's either like you had to be an actor, and then that's
mm,
when you go to Hollywood, right? To
mm,
be a movie star. And so I was introduced to that. My mom had a friend who was doing a film, and he knew I was in design school, and it was called The Dottie West Story, and it was about a singer named Dottie West, and Bob Mackie did all of her clothes. And I don't know if you remember who Bob Mackie was, but
mm-mm.
he did, all of Cher's stuff. He did all the Sonny and Cher show. He did like Carol Burnett. He did all like
Oh
he's an
my
icon
gosh.
in the fashion world.
Yeah.
And so they brought in all of his clothing that he did for her as a country singer. And she was sort of that country singer that made the step from being like, red check outfits to being like fierce,
Hmm.
right? And so anyway, I interned on that film. I got to work on that film. And once I got a little taste of that life of the film business, I was sold. I
Really?
was
Did you
sold.
want it before that though? Because you were saying like it wasn't introduced to you. Were you in the South thinking, I want to be famous? Like I want to go
No,
to Hollywood.
no, 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 no.
No, that
I
just happened.
actually, I actually interned the summer before that at Calvin Klein in New York City. So I lived in New
Hmm.
York. So the idea was, and when you live on the East Coast and you're in the fashion world, the idea is, okay, I'll go to school. I'll go to like Pratt or Parsons or one of those big
Mm-hmm.
fashion schools. And then I'll go work for a house and then maybe I'll create a line later. Like that was it.
Yeah.
That was the path. And
Yeah.
that was what I was going to do. And I lived in New York for 2 summers and interned at Calvin Klein. Um, and I was like, really? This is it? Oh. Because, you're just like putting in fabric codes and you're like, I mean, it's a hard life. I mean, living in New York City, like
Oh, I just felt like a street rat. I was like,
it's
I
intense.
po. I don't.
And if you're poor in New York City,
Oh,
you're not doing all the fun things.
no, no. Like Webster Hall was it once a week. And then it was like eating bagels and pasta and milk from Dwayne Reed. And that was my life and school. It was like, that was what I
You're
could
not going
afford.
out to the Fierce bars.
Yeah, no, no, not at all.
Unless you're getting by, guys to buy drinks for you,
Right.
which
Which
is
is
but
another podcast.
yeah, totally. So anyway, I was sold on that. And so moved out, met some friends on this film that I did, moved out to LA, didn't really know what was going on, but had a group of friends. And, we were all interns on this film and we kind of moved out together. And, the producer on that film that I interned on, he's like, hey, when you get to LA, call me. And I was like, okay. And so I called him and, I mean, it's just, especially when you're young, it's just all about hustling and following through. And, and that's what I did. So, one job led to another, and led to another. And that's kind of how the film business works. It's like once you do a good job for somebody, then the word is out, oh, great. And then you get, you move on to the next job and the next job and the next job. And so I think that being in the film business, I mean, the hours are ridiculous.
Like I have some friends in the film business and that's exactly what they say, that it's like one job leads to the next, and you grind it out, but then you kind of, advance in your career potentially, but the hours are insane.
They're insane, but it's such a great job when you're single, like it's, or without kids. So I think that like, as far as training me, that was like freaking incredible training. It's like 8 hours. What? I'm halfway through my day at 8 hours. Are you kidding me? 8 hours. And so it just makes everything else seem so easy. But it is. And it's also like, you always have this thing kind of hanging over your head. You're like, first of all, there's 100 people waiting in line for my job, because being, a stylist or being, in the costume department is a very desirable job when you live in LA, because it pays really well and and you get to shop. I mean, there's so much more than that. It's not as glamorous as it sounds, but it is great. So you're just always working hard and you're always hustling and you're always trying to impress who is ever there. And it's just such great training ground. And my oldest she just finished OBX. So he, during quarantine, worked on Outer Banks because it was shooting here in Charleston.
What was she doing like on the set? Oh, costume. Oh, that's so cool.
Costumes. Yeah. She reached out to the costume designer on Instagram.
Of course.
Over 1,000. This is what the costume designer said. Over 1,000. I'm bragging on my daughter. Girls applied. I mean, it's a pandemic. No one's working. And there's one show shooting and it is like the teen, young adult show of the freaking year. And anyway, she reached out on Instagram and she did have some film credits before. She had done some film stuff, but so she went through this interview process, a bunch of Zoom calls, a bunch of Zoom interviews. And anyway, she got the job. She was the only one. But I'm just so happy because she worked so hard, but it's such good training. And like I said, it's like, when you're working 16 hours a day, a 10-hour
Mhm.
day or 8-hour day is nothing.
Yeah.
That's,
Yeah.
and people just, I don't know. I don't
The
know what other
perspective.
job is really equivalent to that
Mm.
necessarily. And it's such a collaborative experience.
Maybe like being a
That's what
stay-at-home mom to a newborn or something. Like
maybe.
those hours, I mean.
Yeah, those hours, right? And it's just it's so collaborative, and you're all working hard for this goal that you're
Mhm.
going to get to see, you
Yeah.
know. It's unlike where, I mean, I'm not that working in a restaurant or bartending or retail or whatever, but to work in the film business, you're like, in 3 months, we're going to have this movie and we're all going to get credit for it and
Mhm.
everybody's going to see it and it might change lives and it's going to
Mm.
inspire people. And it's like, it's that kind of energy. And then when it's
Mhm.
over, so I'm going to work really hard and then
Yeah.
it's over and we can all celebrate and then we can move on to the next thing.
Yeah.
So that training, I think, is just, it was
Mm.
incredible, priceless. Um, so
How long
anyway,
did you do that in LA?
so I did that for about 13 years, did
Oh, wow.
movies, and then I stepped into the TV world, which is a little bit easier. The hours are a little bit more manageable.
14 hours instead of 16.
Right?
Mm.
Totally. And then the last 8 years, I did that 70 show.
That's right. Oh, I've heard of that casually. I
Yeah.
think I've heard of that show.
Hmm.
And that 70 show like won a bunch of awards, right? For what
Yes.
you did, like for costume or for that, or was it?
Yes, I have an Emmy for
Yeah,
that.
yeah. Would you just
Mhm.
help me here? I have an Emmy.
Yes.
Mic
Martinez
drop.
has an Emmy. Yeah,
Ah,
I know.
what does that feel like? What does it feel like to have an Emmy?
You know what? I mean, it's just,
Pretty
it's
fucking good.
cool. And I forget about it. I forget about it all the time. And and it's our team that has the Emmy, our costume
Mm-hmm.
team. We were nominated 5 times
Oh
and
my
won
gosh.
once. But then there's also the Costume Designers Guild Awards and all sorts of different awards that existed. We won some of those as well. But the Emmy was awesome. The Emmy was
Mm-hmm.
was fantastic. I worked for a costume designer. Her name is Melina Root. She's just incredible. And again, she taught me. She came from Saturday Night Live, and
Mm-hmm.
um, she just taught me so much. She's just a brilliant woman. But um, you win, and then all right, and then go to work the next day, just like
Whew.
anything,
Oh
just like anything.
man.
But that was a great show. That was a great experience. It was great to see something that was like just this little nothing sort of explode into, and it's still exploding. I think, my
Mm-hmm.
kids watch it now. So many people watch it now.
Mm-hmm.
Um,
It's a
but
good one.
it's really cool to work on a sitcom that is a period piece, and those don't exist
Mm.
that much. Do you know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So it's
Mm-hmm.
like, I had people that were working on Friends and working on lots of different things during that time. And,
Mm-hmm.
they go to the mall and they
Yeah.
get the cutest outfits
Yeah.
and awesome. And they, and Courtney wants these jeans and
Yeah.
Jennifer wants these, she has to wear this thong and da, 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 da. And so you're kind of just personally shopping for somebody.
Yeah.
But on 70s, we really created those characters.
Yeah.
And so many times actors and actresses have opinions on what they're going to wear and how they're going to look, and they couldn't have an opinion, so it
Ah,
allowed us to do our job. You know what I mean?
so
It's like,
cool.
yeah,
Yeah.
so that was a really, really great experience. Hey Hazel, my daughter just got home. And um so when that ended, that was 2006. When that ended, my kids were, she's crossing.
It's fine.
um my kids were 3 and 8, and I
Uh-huh.
said, all right, because just on a TV show, when the show ends and you're going to start a new one, it's like starting a new business,
Hmm.
right? So it's kind of like,
It's
okay, that business is
exhausting.
great, let's shut it down and then let's start a whole new business, because you have to set up a new office and create, closets for everybody, and
And it's
it's
like a new team, right? Like
a new team. It
it's like a
could be,
whole
yeah, it's a brand new business. So I was like,
wow.
I don't know if I want to start a new business right now, because
Mm-hmm.
it's, the hours would go.
Mm-hmm.
And so we decided to move to the South, back to the South. And we had always kind of wanted to do that. Um, so we chose Daniel Island. We looked at Wilmington. We looked at, my family lives in Myrtle. We looked at Wilmington. we looked at a couple different places and we kind of settled on Charleston.
Mm-hmm.
And cut to finding Daniel Island. I just wanted the opposite of what I had in LA. I waited, I sat in the car to take my 6-year-old to ballet for 45 minutes for a 30-minute ballet class, and then another hour back when I only lived, 8 miles away.
Yes.
So I was like, you know what? I can't.
That is not the vibe for me.
No. And we were ready. So we moved here. We found Daniel Island, bikeable, new school. I wanted all that. Like you said, suburbia. I wanted the opposite of the
Sign me up.
Totally. I don't have to even like call play dates and make it happen. They just happen.
Yeah.
You just walk out the door and it just happens. You know what I mean? That's what I wanted. And so that's what we got. And
then how long were you there before you started? Like how did you get the idea for Peace Love Hip Hop?
So I went to, obviously I wanted to sign my girls up for dance. So I went and looked at a few studios in Charleston and I was like, this cannot be the only option here. This is not okay. And so I was like, well, shit, I guess I'm just going to have to start my own thing. And, we were kind of.
Because you care enough. You care enough and you're qualified enough. Well, it's like, damn.
Isn't that how, most businesses, start? Because there's a need for something. There was a need for it. There was a need for it. And so there was a little dance studio here on Daniel Island. I said, hey, on Wednesday nights, can I rent your space for, 2 hours and have a dance class with me, my girls, and a few of their friends? And she's like, sure. Just take it. At that point,
she's regretting that decision, I'm sure.
Oh that studio didn't last very long, but so then we started with some girls. First week we had 5 or 6, and then we had 10, and then we had 15, and it grew pretty quickly. I was surprised. And then of course one of the moms said, hey, I want to do this, and I was like, well, okay. So then that happened. And of course that was like, print out the flyers, pass them out to all the businesses, like just grassroots marketing. And again, same thing. 5 people came, and then 10, and then 15. And then we had to eventually move out of that space and into the gymnasium. And then I started renting space from the school because I needed a lot of space. I mean, at one point, and so it was more like an after school program, but I was running it as a business. And so I would put, and this is when they would let me put registration forms in everybody's take-home folder.
Nice.
You have the take-home folders every week, like Wednesday or whatever day that is.
Yeah.
They don't let you do that, but I put the registration forms in there. And I remember when I started at the school, I put the registration forms in their folders, and then I went back the next week and I had like a little, Tupperware thing, and it was overflowing.
Oh my gosh.
Wow. And so, I had like 120 kids at that point, but I had several different classes. But I was like, wow.
I think I'm onto something.
These people really like this. Yeah, I think I am onto something. And I have boys and I have girls, and they can wear sweatpants and shorts and a t-shirt. They can really wear anything they want. They could be barefoot. I mean, it was just, I was seeing like the accessibility.
Yeah.
There was no one that couldn't be a part of this, honestly. Nobody.
Because you had all age ranges too. Or so I don't know. This is actually something I'm curious about. So when the class that I went to downtown in the warehouse, there was like a bajillion people there, obviously pre-COVID, and all ages. It was like, there was like an 8-year-old next to me. There's like a 40-year-old mom next to me. I was like,
as adult, and then it was like, well, yeah, bring it if you want to come. I'm just like, it's just so all inclusive, like of what it is. And then unlike what you were saying, ballet and like, I mean, who wants to listen to like that, classical piano music? Nobody.
I do listen to it while I feed my 3 wild children breakfast, because I'm hoping that it is calming to them.
No, that's true. But
it's not like, it doesn't make me want to get on a platform at a rave and dance. No, not at all.
No, it does not.
No, it does not.
So, you have already it's their favorite song and it's
Yes.
stuff that they love to dance to. So,
Yeah.
the formula was definitely there.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but yeah, that's kind of how I started it, out of a need for, or a place for my girls to learn how to dance and to create a community, and really to just, just to build confidence in these kids and just
Yeah.
give them an alternative for all those
Mm-hmm.
kids that didn't want to be a lacrosse player or a tennis player,
Mm-hmm.
or, all these like super, super Southern, well,
Mm-hmm.
they're not super Southern, but these sports and this mold that they're supposed to fit into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and, I always call it kind of the land of the misfit toys, but we're actually not
Yes.
really the land of the misfit toys
Yeah.
anymore.
Well, and they probably felt
Kind
like
of
the misfit
sad,
toys,
actually.
which is ridiculous because it's kind of reminds me of what you were saying when you were sitting at the table with all the gay men and like having a great time and just like the cool community and everybody's different and creative and fully expressed. And that's how like the
Yeah,
best communities form, you know?
absolutely. And there's so many more people out there that I thought would never um,
Do
be a
it.
part of that were just so buttoned up, and it's so interesting. Um, and now it's become, on Daniel. I mean, it's just become like a thing. Like, oh, does your kid go to Peace Love? Oh yeah, my kid goes to Peace Love. It's very, very funny. It's very funny. But
So jealous. I considered moving to Daniel Island solely for your dance studio. But I literally, it's like I'm desperate to send my kids there. But I also like what you were saying about in LA, like driving all the way and waiting. And I'm like,
I have so many, like you, I have so many of my like OGs that, have kids that live out on James Island or live Johns Island or wherever, West Ashley. And I'm like, don't sweat it. That's the whole reason that,
no, but it's,
I don't want you to have to
I know,
give
but I
up.
want to. I
Maybe when
want
they get older, like if you could do two, two of the
to at
girls,
once.
two at once or
Oh, this
something.
is great advice, actually. Well, I was really thinking about the summer camp, but that we'll talk about that later. Um,
For
unless
sure.
it's full already. I was like, it's probably full. I'm also the mom that is like not on her game with signing up for stuff. And every time I try to sign my kids up for, there's gymnastics at the James Island Rec Center or something.
Mhm.
And you're just supposed to know when to like check a website and then sign up really quick and then it's sold out. And I'm like, what is it? Who are these women that just
You
happen
have
to know?
you have to find a friend.
That's always been my
You have to
strategy, but I
find
don't have a James
a
Island
friend.
friend like that yet.
Gotta
And
get the
I don't have a Peace Love
cadet.
hip hop friend like that. Though I seriously was thinking about just texting you. I was like, I'm just gonna text her and ask her about summer camp because I'm sure it's coming up and it's full and I'm gonna miss it. And
It's okay. You can get in. You can
yeah,
get in.
thanks. Thanks. Anyway.
You're VIP. You can get in.
Whew. Well, okay. So good. So it's like I mean, honestly, I know I've heard some of your story before, but I feel like I forgot a lot of it. And I think it's so cool that I feel like you just get an idea and you're like, yeah, I'm going to go for this. Like when you said, oh, it's the season of hustling when you're young, but I feel like, and I will start by saying, I have an aversion to the hustle. Like I feel like I got so burnt out from hustling.
No, and I agree with you. And I listened to a lot of the stuff that you said during that time too. I agree with you too. And I actually just hate that word right now. I
Oh,
hate
really?
it.
I didn't even know I said it to you before.
No,
Sorry if
no,
I'm
no,
being
no, no,
redundant.
no, no, no. I use it too, but it's like, and you don't have to hustle all the time. You don't have to have
Yeah.
that. Like when I think of hustle, I'm like, okay, just like this really nervous, crazy energy, but it doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that way.
Yeah.
It doesn't have
Well,
to be that
but
way.
that's the thing about you that I want to reflect back to you is, I mean, you might say hustle, but I understand that for you, the way that you move through your life is just, you just go, like you just go for it. And it doesn't feel
No,
like you're
it feels fun and
pushing.
exciting and creative.
Yeah.
And
Yeah. It's like almost
yeah,
like comes like this inner energy that comes through you. That's like, you're just so excited about doing things. And I think a lot of people, they might have the ideas like, oh, there's not a dance studio, but then they get caught up in like, well, I don't know how, or I don't have enough money, or what if it doesn't work? And it seems to me like hearing your story that you just kind of skip that step. It's like you have this mindset that just goes straight into action. I know what I want and I'm going to create it. And then you just like manifest it super fast because of
it,
course. So like, how do you do that? How do you skip that step of self-doubt and worry and
that's such a great question. Well, first of all, I have, again, I have my parents are
entrepreneurs.
And I
Yeah.
think that that really helps.
Mm.
I do think that that helps, or having, you
That's
know,
encouraging to hear for me.
well, or just having a someone, some sort of a mentor, someone that you look up to, or somebody that like is doing the thing that you want to do. And that's why I encourage so many kids at my studio. I'm like, if you, you know, let's sit down, let's have talks. Like we have talks. I'm
Mm.
like, I'm here to as your dance teacher, but I'm also here as your mentor. Like, let's talk through things and let's figure things out. And I think it's important to have those people in your life because maybe your
Mhm.
parents are, and not everybody's an entrepreneur. Not everybody wants that life. Not
Mhm.
everybody wants to, you know, not have dinner with their family for 2 weeks straight or whatever.
Mhm.
But you have to see the light at the end of the tunnel, right? And I knew
Mm.
that my business did incorporate my family.
Mm.
So that was, you know, that was wonderful for me. I knew that I was going to get to spend time with my kids.
Yeah, because they
Um,
would be in the dance class with us too, next to me. You know,
yeah.
they were in the same class that I was in. Like, or I would see the younger one like sitting on the side doing her homework, which I
Mhm.
just thought was so cool that she's just kind of being exposed to this. You kind of got your eye on her, but she's also, you know, by proxy, like taking it all in.
For sure. For sure. Yeah,
So cool.
absolutely. You know, I see a lot of people, yes, I think a lot of people overthink
Hmm.
and okay, wait, what? I need to get a space and
Yeah. Yeah.
I need to
How?
get
It's like
business license and I need
how.
to, yeah. Uh-huh. And I think that for me, um, I kind of did it completely backwards, you know,
And
it's
that's the
like,
trick. We need to know.
like we just get like reverse engineer it, but I didn't even think about it that much, you know. I just was like, okay, this is what I know how to do.
Yeah.
I know how to dance and I know how to teach people how to dance. So let's
Mm.
start there. You know, let's start there just on just the very, very basic level. And then, you know, I knew that I do that. I knew that there was, and also, is there, you know, is there an audience for what you're doing? Let's figure
Mhm.
that out before we invest a lot of time and energy and into this thing, right? And so I figured, okay, there's an audience, and um, I think it's important too to learn all the things yourself, learn
Mhm.
how to be a marketer, learn how to do social
Mhm.
media, learn how to do all those things yourself and really spend some time and energy researching it and doing it and see what's working. I know like for me, I think that it was, you know, Facebook was just starting to pop off. It was like
Mhm.
2007.
Yeah.
I got one of those little flip cameras that you remember those? You remember I used to record
Yeah,
classes.
you would record us. Yeah.
And so that's, you know, and that was a huge thing because people were like, oh my gosh, I can see what's happening
Mhm.
and I could do that, you know. Um, I don't know. I don't know that I have all the answers as far as that is concerned, but
You
I
do though, because it's like it's not even something I think that what's happening or what has happened from the outside looking in for your life, your whole life, is that there's something about your process that is effortless, that you are not that you are skipping where a lot of people get stuck and caught up, which I of course I know this I mean this happened for me a million times, especially in entrepreneurship, and I feel like just in the last couple years I'm like, oh, that's like I'm going to skip that step. Like I'm just what if I just know? Like I know what to do. Like I have the skills and I know what I want, and I can skip all this shit in the middle, which is just like, oh, but am I qualified? What if people don't like it? Blah, blah, blah. But I know for a lot of women, especially, that's where they land. They are perpetually stuck in, okay, but what if and how and you seem to be effortlessly just leaping over that part. And so I'm always curious about people. And I think, like you said, it might just be that part of it is just your personality that is really energetic and creative and excited about it, and the other part is having entrepreneurial parents. So I just
um
didn't know if you had any thoughts on what else it might be.
yeah, you know, I love what I do.
Mm.
I feel strongly about it. I love what I do. I don't look at it as work.
Hmm.
Um, I know that it's good for people. I know that
Yeah.
it makes people happy. I know it creates happiness. I know that. And so for me,
Mm.
I don't really think about, or I don't really think about the money part of it ever,
Hmm.
or the accolades or anything like that. You know, I
Hmm.
do it for, um, the kid in the back row that's shy, that
Mm,
doesn't, you know, that can't play sports, that's uncoordinated, that's, I do it for that kid. And I
mhm.
do it, for that kid to gain some confidence and to grow. And, those are my rewards. And I think
Mm.
that when you focus on those kinds of things and not all the other things, everything else sort of falls into place. And if you're doing it for the right reasons, and everything else will fall into place.
Oh, I
So
wanna just, like,
having
slow clap what you're saying right now.
Well, I mean, we always talk about being passionate, and you too, like, you want to help women. You want to
Mhm,
help women get through this tough period in their lives, and
mhm,
to feel worthy, and to feel,
mhm,
I mean,
mhm,
you're doing it for the right reasons. And
mhm.
you know,
But it's
s-
so easy to get caught up on the other stuff. Like, it's so easy to get caught up on what's not working, or the money that is going out, or the goals that you
and I
didn't
loved what you
hit.
said about that the other day.
What
I,
did I
I
say?
actually I used that because I was going through like landscaping and insurance and just all the things that were going out, like
Uh-huh.
thousands and thousands of
Oh.
dollars. What you said, and you're like, all right, I'm so grateful that I have rose bushes. Okay,
Mhm,
there we go.
mhm,
And I'm so grateful that my
mhm,
employees have insurance. Okay, great.
mm.
Just like
Yes.
all the things that
Yeah.
no one, and those are the things like no one sees.
Yes. They're
So it's
invisible
not
because they
the
don't
pretty
have
things. It's
ROI is invisible because it's all like in your heart. You're like, but when I look at my rose bushes, I feel so joyful. But it doesn't count because they don't make you money.
no, no, but um yeah, I think it's just being, you got to be fearless. And if
Mm,
you just got to jump in. You can't half ass or halfway jump in. Like,
mm.
if that's what you're going to do, then that's what you got to do, and that's what you got to focus on.
Both feet in. I love
Both
that.
feet in, you've got to just jump in, and especially if you believe in it.
Yeah.
And then always thinking about, like, my husband and I both, like, he has a gym and a fitness studio, and there's a million fitness studios, but it's like,
Hmm.
what do you do that's special? What do you bring
Yeah.
to the table that's special that no one else does? And
Hmm.
I know that what I do is different and it's special, and what he does is different and special, and I believe in it.
Hmm.
um and if other people don't believe in it, then it's okay. We'll figure something else out. You know,
Yeah.
we're smart. And that's what we always say, like, we'll figure something else out.
Yeah.
Well, it's fine. It's totally fine. I just also taking the pressure off of yourself too.
Hmm.
Like, what if I
Yeah.
fail? Well, so what if you fail?
Try something new. Try something else.
Yeah, do something else. It's not the end of the world. I mean,
Ugh.
hopefully. I mean, and I can say this, and I can also say this from lots of privilege. Let's be
Yes.
honest. Let's be
Yes.
honest. I can
Yes.
say that from lots of privilege. But, as a woman, it is hard. And I think about this too. And especially, getting a little older and being in the business of, like, oh, I'm supposed to be this person. I'm supposed to be
Mm.
super cool. And I'm a hip hop teacher. And I'm supposed to be super young and hip, and like all that stuff, and all those pressures that I think about a lot too. And it's just like, you got to learn to let that go. If
Yeah.
you're going to put yourself out there, you got to put yourself out there.
Yeah.
um
So true. It's so
and this
true.
is something that I've shifted to as well, like, just through social media and all that kind of stuff, and marketing is building my business, that it's not about me.
Mm.
It's about everybody else, and putting everybody else in the spotlight, and
Mhm.
really lifting other people up. And I see that a lot in social media accounts. I mean, and you can't help it too, if, like, you are your business, like,
Yeah.
that is one thing. But making that shift a while ago to highlight everybody else and to build everybody else up, and
Mhm.
to make them sort of the star of the show, has
Mhm.
really been great for me. And the kids love it, and and it's just like,
Yeah.
oh my gosh, Miss Angel, I was on your Instagram. And it's like a big deal to sort of build them up and to
Mhm.
give them lots of accolades. And it feels good too. Like, I was going to post a picture of myself the other day. I was like, no, I don't want to do that. Like, why? Every now and then, but I try to keep myself out of it, and just to put other people in the spotlight and to build them up as much as I can. And that's made me feel better, and not,
Mhm.
and also taking the pressure off of me to be like this
The
person.
poster child
I,
of,
I don't want to be that. I
yeah.
just, I
And you
d-
get to do it however you desire to do it. And that's what's so cool about it. I think once you take the pressure off, you're like, oh, well, I can do whatever I want as long as I stand behind it. And I think when you post, like, if it's okay, I'm supposed to be the poster child, but now I'm feeling like I need to dress a certain way and be a certain way. And so now it doesn't feel good. So you
it
could
doesn't
do
feel good
that. Right.
to
So then
me.
you, and then you start doing that because you think you should do it, but then there's all the judgment, all the stuff. And then it's like, wait a minute, go back to the basics, which is why I was so interested to hear your perspective on it, which is focus on the stuff that's working, focus on the stuff that makes you feel good. And if that's not it, then pivot, like pivot. And then, okay, fine. I'm going to put these people on my Instagram because that feels good. And I think it seems so cliche, but it sometimes is so basic, especially when it comes to social media. I was just having another conversation with another entrepreneur who we were like, just like have fun on social. People are like, oh, do you have a grid? And I know there's all these ways, like all the ways work. There's all the ways that
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
you can do the grid and the social media, but also, are you having fun? Can you bring your whole self to the table? Because that can be the difference between you skipping the steps where you're comparing yourself to other accounts and worrying about what you look like and feeling like, doubting yourself and judging yourself, to just being like, oh, this was just like a fun reel to do. So I just did it. And I don't care. I really don't care that much about the outcome because it was fun
Right.
to do it. And so then you just do it more. And so that in turn creates momentum, which then, of course, then people are attracted to, and then you succeed. You just succeed because that's a different path. And I think a lot of people just go down this path of struggle where they're like, doesn't feel good. I don't like myself, but I have to do it this way, blah, blah, blah.
And
And
you
it just
can
sounds
tell, and you can
totally,
tell when it's
totally,
forced. You can tell when it's forced. It's like, you didn't, okay, that was
not cute.
weird. That
Yeah.
was weird. That made me feel awkward. Okay, cool. Like someone told you you had to get into reels, and
Yeah.
so you did. Like, or
Yeah.
someone told you that you needed to follow this format and you needed to, no,
Mm, yeah.
no.
Just do
If
what you
you,
want to
and
do.
I talked to a lot of entrepreneurs too, and we were on that call
Hmm.
during the pandemic, which was
Oh,
awesome.
yeah.
But I feel, so many, especially women, I think they're very planned out. They're
Hmm.
very organized. They're very like, this is by the book. And I mean, I honestly don't know what's happening next week.
You texted me 10 minutes before this podcast and said, so what are we talking about today? And I said, beats me. Thought we would ride the wind and see where it takes us.
Like, and I'm like, okay. I mean, either way is great if that's how you have to do it. But I don't think that there's this like, you don't have to be so organized. And my assistant, she's not really my assistant, my
Like,
Kimberly, who is like,
yeah,
my everything. And
yeah.
she's like, Angel, we have to. And I'm like, okay, do we have to? Like, that
Hmm.
is 2 months away, girl. Because
Hmm.
no, let's just figure this out now, which is great when you can get
Hmm.
people to help you go through stuff like that and get a little bit more organized. But honestly, I could plan it the night before and it'd be fabulous. I mean, and it's fine.
I
I
love it.
could, but I don't put that pressure on myself.
Mm. It sounds like also like confidence and trust that like you have the skill, like what you need to know already within you. So the planning, it might give you this sense of safety, but really, like I'll say to my husband, like, oh, I have this
No,
presentation or like I'm doing a guest speaking gig tomorrow, and like I should probably like plan something, and then I won't. And it's not because I forgot or I'm lazy. It's because
no, 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 no.
I know that it will actually be better if I take like 20 minutes before the speaking gig and I'm like, okay,
Super focused.
what is here? What do I feel inspired about? Oh, here's 3 bullets. And then I just show up and I just own it. And I decide that that is enough, that I am prepared enough, that I have like what I'm meant to share, is already there. The planning it doesn't need, and I know this is not for every personality type, but I do think there's something about when women like you and me, who seem to have a very similar way of moving through the world, just trust that anything is possible. You're like, oh, well, I don't actually need to struggle. I could just
And
do what you want.
yeah, absolutely. And then it goes back to being passionate about something. Like
Mhm.
I can talk about dance and I can talk about forever because that's
Yeah.
what I know. That
Yeah.
is what I know. That doesn't have to
Mhm.
be forced or learned necessarily for me. That's what I know.
Yeah.
And for for you, like
Mhm.
uh,
Yeah. The things I
so
know.
yeah,
Everybody's like, "What do you do?" I'm like, "What do you think I do?"
let's see what your answer is.
I told this guy, sorry, this is a tangent, but I told the guy at the grocery store, he's like cutting my turkey. And I never really chat with these people. Plus, with the masks on, it's so awkward. And he was like, "How's your day going?" I was like, "Good, good." He's like, "Oh, you working on your phone?" I was like, "Oh, sorry. I was just like, checking an email." He's like, "Oh, isn't that the worst?" And I was like, "Well, actually, I work for myself. So I actually kind of love I love that I can like check an email while I'm grocery shopping." He's like, "Oh, what do you do? Real estate?" And I was like, "No, no." He's like, and I thought we were just gonna leave it, like, no, no, I just do
No,
something
no,
else. And
there's some very yeah.
he's
Uh-huh.
like, "So what do you do?" And I was like, well, I'm a coach. I'm a mindset coach. That sounds like you'll know what that is. He's like, what does a mindset coach do?" And I was like, Jesus, man. I help women trust themselves in a nutshell. And he's like cutting the turkey. He goes, "You're the most interesting person I've met all day." And I was like,
I love that. I know when
it was really cute.
people ask me too all the time. They're like, what do you work? Are you gonna like checking out the grocery store? What are you doing today?" I'm like, wow, okay, well,
Okay, we're
really,
gonna do
we're really
this.
serious. You
Oh
teach
my God.
dance? What kind of dance?
Yeah.
Hip hop. You teach hip hop? Yeah, I do. I do. Wow, okay. I'm like, not now.
Small talk has never been my specialty. It's
No.
shocking to no one, but I'm like, "Wait, we're gonna do we're gonna okay, we're gonna do this. Cool, cool."
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Anyway, okay. I feel like that is like so much good stuff. I loved hearing your story. I love that you shared the thing that you do so effortlessly, because that's what I was so curious to hear what you were going to say. And then it came out, all this stuff about focusing on, what you're passionate about and what's working and we're already receiving, and also giving yourself permission to like not put too much pressure on yourself and trust the gifts that you have within. And I just want to acknowledge you for
Yes,
being,
definitely.
I don't think I mean, you might know this, but you are so inspiring to me. And I just love being in your presence. And I remember the first time I saw you up on that stage teaching that hip hop class, I was like, this woman is special and has a lot of energy. And I'm just so grateful that like 10 years later, or however many years it's been since I went to a hip hop class like that in the warehouse downtown, that, I get to like learn more about you and learn from you. And also you're just kind of like pace setting for me. I see how you mother your two grown daughters and I see how you decorate your dining room. And I'm just like, okay, okay, I can have that too. It's permission, it's inspiring. So thank you. Thank you
You are
for,
so sweet. Thank you so much for saying that. When going back to what you were saying about speaking, which you're so good at it. Um, I the same thing with dance class. Like I would take that 30 minutes before and
mhm,
just focus. Like I knew what I was doing,
mhm,
right? But it's that focus time, and you're like, I don't want to overthink it. I want to be in the moment. I don't want to have cards that I have to think about, whatever. But I think it's that, and just being so sure and so confident in what you're doing and what you're giving people,
mm,
and that it's positive and it's helping, and it's
mhm.
what could be bad about that? How can you not be happy and
Yeah.
confident and sure of yourself when it comes to that? It's like you look out at the people you're speaking to, the people in your class, and you
Mhm.
see the joy, and
Yeah.
you're like, that's it. There it
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
And
the only
then
thing that messes it up, I think, and definitely in my experience when I've had speaking or like a champagne society or something where I felt like it didn't go well, it's because I got in my head and I started to judge myself or doubt myself. And then I'm like, oh, that's literally the only
the
difference. It's
only
not preparation. It's not like speakers. It's nothing. It's literally just like, did you show up and trust that you got this? Or did you get in your head and feel like you had to really like over deliver and all this?
right.
So
Did you
it's
get
so
or try to maybe be somebody that you weren't? I
yeah, yeah, yeah. Put the pressure on yourself to show up as a certain now it's just so freeing to just be like, well, this this is what you get. So I'm not gonna try anymore because it's too hard and I'm not good at it. So I'm just gonna
right.
be myself.
And actually the not trying is the best way to do it. Yeah.
The best way to do it.
Best
So
way to do it. And I love I just started listening. Well, I listened to all of your stuff on Instagram, but the past week I've been playing your podcast in the car, and I'm never in the car that much, but and watching it as I'm putting on my makeup, and just so much good stuff. Like,
oh, thank you.
you're such an awesome woman, and I'm just so happy to know you. And I'm so happy that you came into that dance class with your girls, and it's just so fun now to like reconnect with all of these women and see what they're doing. And it's so awesome because it's still like I knew it then, but now like I really know it now. Like that was a really dope ass group of women.
And that was like, it's kind of like when you were talking about the raves, like going to the raves, like that was really, this was it, you know? And I feel like that time in my life, like shout out to Honey Johnson, who brought me to that class. It was like, that was a special time in my life that I will always remember. And it was just so fun. It was so fun. And also I could not walk the next day. I couldn't walk for like 5 days.
God.
I mean,
I think about because, you know, I don't dance that hard anymore. What freaking amazing shape we were all in to do the things that we did. Because I'm thinking now, I'm like, oh my God, I really worked you guys. Like we did a workout, a pre-workout, a workout, then a post-workout, you know, like it was like 5 workouts in one. It was really hard. It was,
and then actually, okay, sorry, I know this is the last thing, but then I went when I was pregnant with my first, and I kept being like, I can still do this. I still want to do this. And I like threw my neck out in a class, and you weren't there, but it was like really a sad moment for me because it was like this moment of reckoning where it was like, Gervase, your body is no longer your own body. There is an alien inside, and you need to go lay down on a couch with a pillow between your legs. And I would remember just being so sad about it, but it also just, I don't know, it just like brings you full circle of like how special it was when I had that.
Really, the appreciation is
And but also you can still dance. Like we did a Champagne Society in-person event at Peace Love Hip Hop like 3 or whatever a couple years ago, and it was so fun. It was like a bunch of moms and some non-moms that were just like, I feel too old for a dance class, but I really want to do hip hop, and we just like worked it. But you didn't make us do burpees and stuff, so it was
I didn't. I didn't do like all the other.
We could handle it though.
Millions of things.
Great. You need to do that again.
Dance is something that, you know, I mean, I am 50 in a couple months. And
what?
I dance.
Not a day over 35.
Can you believe it? I still dance. I still teach. I still do all the things, but there are a few little things. But you know, consistency is the key, and just. But dancing can be whatever you want it to be. That's the thing. And you can dance until you are 100 years old, and hopefully we all will. And that's what I love about it too. There are no limits. All you need is a little speaker and, you know, this much dance floor, and that's it. And you can, you know, it's not like you have to go get a tennis racket and put on an outfit and go to the tennis court and get no, you can do it in your house, in your living room, anywhere you are. And it will bring you so much joy, even if you do it for 3 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever. Like there's just, you know, and it's a great,
but that's also just something special about Peace Love Hip Hop, that it is a come as you are and no frills, like no red tape. It's just like come as you are. And so I know a lot of people listening are going to want to be like, who is Peace Love Hip Hop? Where do I go? So how can they follow you on Instagram? And if they're local to Charleston, take in-person classes. I don't know. Are you doing virtual classes too, or no? No. Okay. Yeah.
No. So we have our class, you know, the class that I taught with you, that class is on Tuesday night. So it's a beginner hip hop class.
Okay.
Tuesday night, 7:30. And it is beginner, and now we have all the lights and all the stuff, and just got a new set of lights. So you'll see it on Instagram. We just got like these new big giant pole lights.
You brought the rave.
Yes, we're there. We're close. And this fog machine, like it is literally
oh my God, a fog
so fierce. You got to have a fog machine now.
You gotta have it. Who are you if you don't have a fog machine?
I know. Nobody. No one. And I didn't realize fog machines were that expensive. When I went to Guitar Center the other day, I was like, $400 for a fog machine? All right, fine. And then they have the machines that make the bubbles. And then when the bubbles pop, there's fog inside the bubbles. Do you know what I'm
Whoa.
talking about?
No,
And
I
they're
do
$500,
not.
but I was so close to buying one. It was like, oh,
See,
well.
because it's like just recreating the magic over and over. It's like, what was fun for me when I was 20? What was fun for me? It's like I just keep, that's what I did with Champagne Society. I kept being like, what do I like to do? Okay, I like to have these conversations. Or when we would plan events, I was like, what do I want to do? Yeah, I want to go to a hip hop class. How could I make money off of that? Help other women, collaborate? Like, how could I just combine the
Makes people
stuff that
feel
I like
good.
doing?
And that's
Yeah,
it.
make people feel
Yeah.
good. And so I was like, yeah, we'll just do this. So it sounds like that's what you're doing. You're like, I like the extra, so I'm gonna
Yeah.
put it in my dance studio.
Uh-huh.
There you go.
That's
Oh my
it.
gosh. So, and where can they follow you? Is it Instagram or do you have a website?
Everything is so easy. It's all Piece of Hip Hop, one word. Website,
Got
Piece
it.
of Hip Hop, one word. Instagram, Piece of Hip Hop, one word.
Okay.
It's super duper easy. The Tuesday night are drop-in classes. We have the Monday night classes. Those are a little more advanced, but still open to the public and still super easy and accessible. So Monday and Tuesday, 7:30. And we are not doing virtual, but we have, that's the great thing about our studio, that we were still sort of, doing pretty well during COVID and being able to have classes, is that, I have a 3,000 square foot
Huge.
space.
Yeah, it's enormous.
So
Yeah.
you can stand, 10 feet
Yeah.
away from everybody and still, and plus all of our staff is vaccinated. So
I was about to say, now we got vaccines and everybody wears masks. And it's like,
are you vaccinated?
yeah.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah.
My husband, that was a non-negotiable. My husband is a scientist. He was like, if you want to do stuff, you go get that. I was like, yes, sir.
Yep. That's it. And it's so easy. It was so easy to go and
so easy. Even a life coach could do it. Just kidding. Okay. That was an hour. I love you. Thank you so much for your time. You're amazing. And let's keep in touch, shall we? VIP, I'm going to text you for summer camp. Okay. So
absolutely. Thank you so much.